Fans will stay when they feel like they're seen, like they're desired, like they're valued, like you really know them. It's really important that your fans feel valued, because the moment they don't, they're gonna leave. Welcome back to On the Horizon. This is MelRose Michaels. I am your host, and I'm here to share what's worked for me in building my adult creator business to try to make building yours just a little bit easier. Let's get into today's episode. All right, let's be honest. Going viral is sexy, but it's often not sustainable. So what really pays your bills? What grows the business month after month? Loyalty. Not just followers, not just subs, but fans who stay, the ones that support you in the long term. If you ever feel like your income resets to zero every month, or like you're stuck constantly chasing new subs to stay afloat, this episode is going to be your wake-up call. Because building a loyal fan base, it's not just luck. It's actually about having a lot more than just a personality as well. It's a skill. And in this episode, I really want to dig in and teach you exactly how to build it and how to keep it. So the first thing I want to get into is really why loyalty beats virality. The most profitable creators in this industry, they aren't the ones that necessarily go viral every week. They're the ones that build a predictable income-based fan loyalty business. So if you think about this, the way to frame it isn't just that your business is based on how many new subscribers you get, or how many followers you have, or how many new customers are coming in, but it actually comes down to fan loyalty. And fan loyalty is a different thing altogether. So here's what loyal fans do. They stay subscribed longer, which is higher retention. They buy your PPVs more often, which is a higher conversion. They spend more money over time. That is a higher lifetime value. They tell their friends about you. This is what we would call or refer to as organic growth. And they engage consistently, which helps boost your visibility. So the way I like to think about this is that virality is kind of like a sugar high, but loyalty, that's like compound interest. And I think that having that framework really has helped me to build my business long term. Because if you actually go to some of my socials, like if you went to my Instagram right now, you would see that I haven't had like a single reel go crazy viral. Like I don't have a 1 million view reel. I don't have a 1 million view TikTok. My TikTok actually was recently deleted. So I don't depend on virality, because while I would welcome it if it came, it's not something I have a ton of control over. I can try to make the best reels I can. I can hope that they land, I can hope for all of those things. But something I actually do have in my control is the loyalty and the relationships I build with my fans. So again, virality, sugar high, loyalty, compound interest. That framework is really important to keep in mind when you're making strategic business decisions. So a quick stat for perspective, because I think this illustrates it really well, is that if you have a fan, right, and they stay for 3 months at $10 a month, say that that's your subscription rate, that's $30 from that single fan. But if they were to stay for 12 months and say also buy a $20 locked PPV, that's $360 from one fan. Now imagine doing that at scale. I think a lot of the creators that follow my stuff, they have this misconception that I have, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 followers or subscribers on my OF, and that's just not true. I actually have less than 1,000 paying subscribers on my OF, and my income is the number that it is because of the loyalty that I have with the fan base. And also I tend to price myself out of having a lot of active paying subscribers. Like you guys who've been with me for some time know that at a certain point I had a almost $30 subscription per month on my OF. That's not the case currently. I'm using a different business model right now, but the reason I did that is I'd rather have deep, meaningful connections and relationships with the fans I do have than go really wide and cast a broad net and have a lot of shallow interactions. If you are a creator and you are familiar with any, agency model in the business, something about this should stand out to you is that the agencies typically run what we call a churn and burn model. They want to get something to go viral on social. They want to bring in a lot of new subscribers, and then they try to milk them for as much money as they can, as quickly as they can. They don't do any actual relationship building, and those fans are gone when the 30 days are up. So when agencies are doing something that's very churn and burn, the creators who are having success and like long-term stability and building businesses like proper, they are the ones scaling loyalty, scaling real relationships with fans, knowing about the fans, having great personas and notes built out. Like, this is the difference. So I think that there is an equation for this. So understanding loyalty, I think it's kind of almost an equation. Like, there's a formula to it. So the formula, the way I see it, is that loyalty equals connection times consistency times customization. I think that that is the formula, because connection, that's emotional and psychological. So fans will stay when they feel like they're seen, like they're desired, like they're valued, like you really know them. And the most loyal fans, they're not just turned on, like they're emotionally invested. They care about your journey as a creator. They want to see what kind of stuff you're going to go on to do. They want to be a part of it. Like, how many of you as creators listening to this have followed someone for a really long time on social? Like, maybe you followed them for years and you were an early follower when they first started out, and maybe now they have millions of followers. There's something special about feeling like you got to see them come up, like you got to see their journey unfold. And fans are having that same experience with you. And I think that's easy to forget if you're only looking at the revenue or the profit or the bottom line. So another thing to think about is, do you respond to messages like a chatbot or like a real human who like flirts and remembers details and builds connection? This is really important because as a creator, it is so easy to fall into the same couple things. Like, if you think that every creator is original all the time, every second of every day, that's just not realistic. Like, we don't even do that in our real interpersonal relationships. like I talk to my friends and family the same way I have, weekly check-ins with longer distance relatives. And they're more like, I wouldn't say transactional, that's not the right word, but I would say they're kind of ritual. Like, the same things come up, we talk about the same things. How is so and so doing? What's the weather been like? Like, you have that almost repetitive nature to it. And that happens a lot with fans. So when I say don't message like a chatbot, I don't just mean like the obvious, like, hey baby, I'm so horny, unlock this video, which is what I see on a lot of creator pages. But the real, like, being a person, like, hey, how is that thing that you talked about 3 months ago? Whatever happened with that? Like, did that unfold the way you expected? Tell me what happened. Like, having those details and remembering those fan notes, especially, like, that is the stuff that builds connection. So as an action step, there's 3 things that you can do that I think kickstart this loyalty process, that kickstart this loyalty formula of connection times consistency times customization. The first one for connection is that you do these 3 things. You have a welcome message set up for new fans. Okay. So if you are a creator listening to this and you still don't have a welcome message set up, that has to be step 1. A fan is subscribing to your page, the first thing that is going to make their experience with you interesting is that very first impression that you have. And that first impression comes from a welcome message. The second thing you can do, and I think that this goes a long way and it's pretty easy, is to have like a good morning and good night ritual. So like a voice note, for example, that you send, or a message you send out every morning. These little voice notes, and I really love to lean on voice because you don't have to be here and makeup ready to do it. They go a long way. So having that in place, that's going to be another step towards connection. And then maybe like some weekly fan appreciation strategies. So whether that's a shout out on the feed, whether that's a voice note to your top tippers from the last 30 days, that just gives them some appreciation. Like, hey, you've been super supportive. I just want you to know I see that and it's going a long way and it's helping me reach XYZ goals that I have. Like, having that actual connection, that meaningful appreciation is super important. So those are the first tactical 3 things I think that establish connection. Welcoming new fans immediately, having some kind of good morning, good night ritual, whether that's a voice note, a clip, whatever, and then a weekly fan appreciation of some sort, especially for top tippers or top spenders. Then for that second piece of the equation, right, we have consistency. Consistency in our industry, it's trust. So you have to remember that you train your fans how to trust you through your repeated behavior. So when you ghost, or when you post really sporadically, or when you deliver customs late, which totally guilty of, I'm speaking from experience, but when you do those things, you break trust. So if you think about someone in your life who you felt like maybe you couldn't trust very well, either that person did something to label them that way, or they did something where they felt unstable to you. They felt like you couldn't depend on them, you couldn't trust them. So having that consistency in showing up consistently is a huge component of building trust with your fans. And this is where creators often fall off, because consistency is just hard to do in general, and it's especially hard to do at scale. So this is probably the part that I think most of you listening are going to be struggling with. But that consistency and making that the goal, showing up consistently, is going to go a long way with your fans. If people aren't spending, if people aren't buying, it might be because they don't trust you to post next week, that they don't trust you to make new content, that you're behind on a custom. Like, those are often the real realities of why fans aren't opening up their wallets. So again, train your fans on how to trust you through your repeated behavior. You want to be and show up consistently. And when you do that and you kind of show up in a predictable way, that trust is going to build.
If you're enjoying this podcast episode so far, please take one moment to share it with another one of your adult content creator friends, because you know what the rule is here. We do not gatekeep, and we want to make as many adult creators' businesses as easy as possible. And you sharing this episode with them might do exactly that. Thanks so much in advance.
So these are the action steps that I think you should take away from this part of the conversation. If you are someone that's going to post weekly, or you post 2 videos a week, whatever it is, you should communicate that to your audience, to your fans. So mass message them, hey, I'm on a new upload schedule. I'm posting new content to the feed every Friday. Or, hey, I reworked my page strategy. I'm going to be sending out new content to you in the DMs in a locked PPV every Tuesday. Set the expectation with your fan base and your audience, and then you need to live up to that expectation. Then I would suggest doing one like almost check-in, flirty check-in once a week with the fans. So like, this should be something where you could do it in a voice note, you can do it in a written text, you can do it in a video clip, but maybe just like, hey, wanted to follow up. I saw you weren't online lately. How's everything going for you? You can send that just to fans that have been offline, haven't been subscribing. Like, you can segment your list, but doing a flirty check-in, I think that goes a long way to make fans feel like you're showing up consistently. Because if that's happening every week, that's going to start to establish that trust. And then also you can set the expectation, and I think this is kind of the tactical step 3 to this, of how often fans can expect you to respond to your DMs. So this, I think, can even be like in your pinned post on your feed. Like, these things, I post videos every whatever, I respond to DMs within 48 hours, whatever. You can put that all in a pinned post, so you establish the expectation. And then when you live up to that expectation, you build trust. Now, this third part is customization. So making things personal. Fans always stay longer when they feel like they're getting something unique or personal or special. Like, that's not news to any of you guys listening, because the fans don't want just access. They want attention. They want your attention. So the action step for this section of the formula is obviously to use names, personalize your replies, whether that's in written text, voice, audio clips, whatever. Even if it's really simple, trying to involve your fans in the process. Like, what kind of content do you want me to film next week? What are you in the mood for? You can kind of pass that to them, and that is going to help fill out and complete this formula. Because remember, when it comes to loyalty, it is connection times consistency times customization. 3 C's. 3 C's to loyalty. Now, tangible tactics to increase retention. I think that there are kind of 6 battle-tested tactics when it comes to increasing LTV, which is lifetime value of the customer, for fans. So we kind of touched on one already. The first battle-tested tactic is fan onboarding. Because your first impressions matter so much, you have to have some kind of automated welcome message that feels warm and playful and personal, not robotic. And you can even, like we've talked about in the past, include a teaser menu or content suggestions. You can have a call to action, like message me if you want something special. I love getting personal. You can have a script like that. But fan onboarding is your first impression to your page. It sets all the expectations. It makes the fans experience, or it can break the fans experience. So number one, take some time to think critically on how you want to onboard fans and what that experience to a new subscriber feels like. Do they hear from you right away? Do they hear from you 6 hours later? What's on your feed when they show up, when they hit subscribe? Is there a welcome post that tells them what to expect while they're here? Like, all of those things matter. The fan and customer experience really matters. Number two, in terms of battle tested tactics to increase retention, is content that encourages them to stay. So I'm seeing some new trends in this area, which makes me super excited. But creators are using cliffhangers in their videos. They're using sequels, or they're building like episodic series. I think this is genius. It's something that I've started doing. So example, part 1 of this video goes live Friday, part 2 drops Monday. The fact that they have something to look forward to, this Monday drop that's coming, that's going to keep them retained longer. You can also schedule out loyalty perks. So maybe subscribers after 3 months unlock some new perk. Maybe they get daily voice messages. Maybe they get daily selfies for free. You can set things up like that, and you can track that by adding people to lists in your OF. And then the other thing that I didn't write down that I do want to mention is, if you make trailers for your videos, it can be really useful to drop the trailers like a month in advance or a couple weeks in advance of dropping the actual video, because that builds suspense too. And if a fan sees something in that trailer that's like really enticing, or like they really want to see, they're going to stick around and carry that subscription until you drop that content. So teasing with future content that's going to drop at a later date is a really powerful way to keep retention. Monthly themes and campaigns. This is the tactical step number 3 that I think is useful for retention. And this really gives fans a reason to stick around too. So having monthly themes or campaigns you're running. So maybe Spanktober for spanking videos that come out in October, or Customas. Instead of Christmas themes, you can do customs for Christmas, like holiday kind of gift ideas for the holiday season. Maybe you can have Fantasy February, where you create fan submitted ideas all month. If you have a theme or something that the fans are excited about participating in, that's a great way to keep retention. So making sure you announce these themes, making sure you tell them that they're coming, making sure you ask for participation and engagement in them so that you can create around the themes, all of that's going to be useful for retention. Number 4 for battle-tested tactics for retention is re-engagement campaigns. So I regularly DM my expired fans like a flirty "I miss you" message to try to entice them to come back. And I also usually offer them a flash discount or a loyalty reward to come back at a discounted rate. So I typically will hit my fan base the day before their subscription ends, and I'll kind of like remind them or ask them to resubscribe in a gentle, flirtatious way. And then if I find that they still go unsubscribed, or the renew doesn't rebill, then I'll hit them like a day later with an "I miss you, I hope you come back, I hope things are okay" kind of thing, and offer them a discount to come back. Doing these kind of retention offers or re-engagement campaigns are going to keep fans on your page for longer. Number 5, this is a fun thing that I'm starting to implement on my own page. This is like premium fan clubs. So obviously on an OF specifically, you don't have tiers, but on other fan sites, if you're on Fansly or things like that, you could have different tiers or different subscriptions that you offer to fans. Either way, you can build these like clubs out on your page just by saying they exist. So for me, I have, if you've been subscribed over a year, you are on a separate list on my OF, and I'm going to send you special stuff that I don't send to everyone else. So this is something new that I'm implementing. And this is kind of like the year unlock club. Like if you've been with me subscribed every year, you get these special perks unlocked because you've stayed so long and you deserve them. And I really communicate that to the fan. Like when I'm sending content to that list of people who've been subscribed a year or longer, I'm communicating like, hey, no one else is getting this. You're getting it because you've been with me so long and you're so loyal and you've been so supportive. Like this is just for you. You really want to communicate that in the messaging for any content or perks going out to those clubs. You can also have other things like a monthly raffle for fans who've been sub 90 plus days. Maybe you raffle off a custom video. Maybe you give special discounts for people who've been with you X amount of months. Maybe they get videos at $10 off compared to everyone else on the page. Things like that. Something exclusive and rewarding for your long-term fans. And then number 6, for retention tactics, make them a part of the process. This kind of goes back to giving them monthly themes or campaigns they can participate and look forward to. But making them a part of the process, you can ask them to vote on content themes. Like you could put polls on your fan site, post a poll, tell them you're thinking about making this kind of content. Do they want it? Do they not? Or ask them what kind of content you should make and give them a bunch of different options. Let them vote. Let them be, participants and creating the decisions for your fan site with you. Like have them involved in that process. After all, they're the ones that are going to spend to unlock it. So it really makes your job easier to just cater to the people that are on the page and have them tell you what they actually want. You're saving yourself a lot of time in doing that, because if you create more of what they want to be unlocking, they will unlock it more. It's actually kind of like a hack for business. Have your customers tell you what they want, go and make those things, boom, watch your unlock rates go up. It's very, very good to implement this. If you're having trouble with revenue, this is the first thing you should jump on and do. Go post a poll, ask them what they want, create that. You've made them a part of the process. They're highly unlikely to unlock it, and revenue goes up. Now, we have talked about what makes fans stay, but I want to be really clear on what makes fans leave. Because when you know and you realize what makes them leave, hopefully it becomes really clear on how to fix it. So knowing what breaks loyalty is just as important as knowing what gives loyalty. So to what we said earlier, if the loyalty equation is essentially that you have loyalty equaling connection times consistency times customization, what breaks loyalty is going to be almost opposite of that. So ghosting or inconsistent posting, this is the number one thing creators do. They're not consistent. So if you fix that, a great hack, obviously we've said this a million times, schedule content in advance. Communicate, show up, and deliver, even if it's short and sweet. If you need to set the expectation for your page super low so that you can show up consistently for it, that's where you start. If you can't produce a video, 2 videos a week, 3 videos a week, okay, you're going to produce 1 new piece of content a week. You're going to communicate that's what they can expect, but you're going to meet that expectation. You shouldn't set unrealistic things for yourself, because you're just setting yourself up for failure. So even if you're starting small, you want to start there. That's more important, because also as you show up consistently for your audience, you're going to build confidence that you can. And as a creator, having that confidence of like, oh, I did exactly what I said I did, or I was going to do all week last week. I showed up for myself. I got all my tasks completed. I posted enough. Like, oh, wow, I can do that. And then you build confidence. And with that confidence, you build momentum, and then you show up consistently again. So don't ghost, don't post inconsistently. That is the number one way to make fans leave. 2, transactional vibes only. So when you are doing nothing but mass messaging content, when you are doing nothing but promoting in your DMs or promoting on your feed, you're a spam page, essentially. You're not interesting. You're not a person to them. You're just like an advertiser. So you don't want to do that. You need to have one-on-one conversations. You need to be in your DMs. You need to be flirting. I've posted my stats, especially on like the GPTs page, but almost 90%, 80% of my revenue comes from DMs, and almost all of those conversations are one-on-one. So very rarely am I sending a mass message, and if I do, it sounds like it's a one-on-one message that just happened to go to everyone. So don't keep it transactional. You want to have real conversations. Number 3, one size fits all content. So this is something I failed at in the past, which is that I made content that I thought would sell well to a lot of people, instead of segmenting the audience in which I'm selling that content for. So now I'm a lot better. I have my fans sorted on lists. So if they are into dom or kink or fetish, they're on a certain list. And when I have new content that's in that niche, I send it to that list. And that's been really helpful, because the other fans that really like my vanilla stuff or really like kind of girlfriend experience content, they don't like seeing that content. It almost subtracts from their fantasy of me. So making sure the content you make is directed at the segment of the consumer you're trying to monetize, that's really important. And OF has great, because they have the lists on there, so you can create different lists of different kinds of fans. And I think that's super useful. And then 4, an easy way to make fans leave is by giving them zero anticipation. the art of the tease is everything in adult industry work and content. So tease content ahead of time, give them previews, build curiosity, build out new content that's dropping as an event, almost like a product launch. If you treat it like that, the anticipation will build and fans will stay for longer. So with retention mindset and having a retention mindset, that almost equals a relationship mindset. So when you make that shift about thinking of your fan base as a relationship versus transactional, the way you approach it will change. That mindset shift will mean that you show more appreciation. You check in more often with your top spenders or your top fans. You're also going to notice their patterns, what kind of content they love, when they seem more likely to buy, when they seem like they're ignoring. You're going to pick up on that stuff. And then you're going to start to make them feel more than just a username or feel more than just a transaction or a wallet and all the rest. It's really important that your fans feel valued, because the moment they don't, they're going to leave. So most importantly, I think that the takeaway should be to treat your fan base like something you're building for the long term and not just selling to this week. And this is the distinction, again, with how a lot of agencies approach onboarding and having these huge creators and these churn and burn models. They're selling for just the week. They're trying to get as much revenue out of each user as possible, because they don't foster a relationship that will keep that fan around in a month from now or 3 months from now. The creator who stays consistent and builds connection and keeps showing up in a way that feels authentic, that, in my opinion, is the creator that's building something that lasts. And I think that distinction is super, super huge to make. Because ultimately, your content might be what catches their eye, but your connection is going to be what makes them stay. So if you remember just anything from today, or if there's any one takeaway, I think it should be this, is that you don't necessarily need more followers, and you don't necessarily need to post 5 times a day. You don't necessarily need to chase virality. That's not the only way. You need to just make people you already have and that are already watching feel really valued and really seen, feel wanted in a way that only you uniquely can deliver on. Because loyalty doesn't come from just giving more. It comes from giving with intention. If you don't know how to do that, or if you're not sure where to start, again, we have tools like GPTs.ai that can help you come up with the right things to say, the right way to reply to fan DMs so that you build connection, the right way to post your captions or post your locked PPV content so that it feels like you're relationship building and not just being transactional. Because at the end of the day, it's not about who gets the most attention. It's about who knows how to keep it. And that is really how you build a loyal fan base. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you got some value out of this episode, and I hope that you come back so we can see you in the next one. Thank you guys.
It would be absolutely incredible if you rated this podcast 5 stars and left a little review. We want to get this podcast to as many adult creators as possible, and you taking a second to leave a couple stars and a review really helps us do that. Thanks so much.